All right, and it says we're live. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Behind the Screens. This is episode 3, and today's guest is the boy who had 7. Now, really quick, do you go by, because I know I have the link right down here, the boy who had 7 or the boy who had 7 talks comics books, or like the other account, which is sells comics books?
Yeah. So, I mean, man, people call me everything. I'm down with the boy who had 7. I'm down with 7. You know, my name's Matt, so you can call me Matt, but whatever's easiest for you. I mean, a lot of times people are like, hey, the boy who had 7 talks comic books, and it just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
7, cool. Matt, the boy who had 7, that works for me, man.
All right, cool. So just getting a jump right into the questions and things like that, man. When did you first start YouTube?
So I think the very first video I posted was January 15th. 2018. So it's been about 2.5 years, man. Almost 3 actually now.
Yeah, the years going by fast, surprisingly.
Needs to go by faster, man.
I know. 2020 has been a little rough, but what were some like inspirations, or like what made you really want to do your first ever YouTube video?
Man, so I'd given up comics for a long time because I got married super young, like literally 2 days after I graduated from high school. I married my high school sweetheart. And then we started having kids, man. The reason I'm the boy who had 7 is because I have 7 kids. And so we started having kids. And so a lot of money went to that. And I had no money left over for comic books.
Yeah.
So, man, about 2014, I think, Man of Steel came out. And I was like, oh, man, this is great. And then I thought, wait a second, your comic books, bro, go read your comic books. So I went to my room, pulled out Death of Superman and started reading it to the kids and kind of just reminding myself of all the stuff I loved, when I was much younger. And so my kids and I are like we got to a point in my comics, in my collection, where I didn't have the next book. And so it's like, well, there's a comic shop like 2 minutes down the street. Let's go over there and see if we can find the next book, Yeah. So that got me back into collecting, got me back into reading comic books, started doing that with my kids, started, like gathering all the stuff that I didn't have as a kid that I wanted, So I was like, man, I'm picking this up. I'm picking that up. And then I started watching YouTube. I started watching variant comics, and I love the stuff that they do over there, man. I'm just like, this guy versus this guy, or this guy's powers, or here's some information before the movie comes out.
Like origin type thing.
Yeah, bro. And I was just really digging it, and I was watching it like all the time. And I remember one Saturday morning, everyone's still asleep. I'm sitting in bed watching on my phone, and I'm like, I could do this, Like I really could do this. And it's perfect because my favorite comic book story of all time is the Infinity Gauntlet. That's what I started reading as a kid in the 90s. And I fell in love with it. And then the MCU was like, hey, let's bring Thanos in. Let's bring the Infinity stuff in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, man? We're about to get the Infinity War movie. Everything's leading to my favorite comic book of all time. It's the perfect time for me to just try my hand on this YouTube thing,
Yeah.
And so I did, man. I jumped in and I started with kind of breaking down the entire Infinity Gauntlet story. And that's where it began.
That's definitely cool. So variant comics, you said, I know of them. Were there any like other people that you saw and you were like, ooh, like I can probably take some from this, or I'm aspiring to do this?
Yeah. So hopefully this doesn't give me a bad name, but there is a channel called Diversity in Comics. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
No.
But it's kind of what started that whole Comicsgate thing. Do you know Comicsgate?
I've heard of it. I don't know.
Okay, so it's like a group of conservatives that are like, hey, we want comics to stay the way that they were in the comics versus this idea of diversity. And let's change characters. Let's add this or that. So there's that whole battle going on. And I would always tune in because there's a lot of things on one side that I'm like totally agree with. And there's things on the other side I agree with. And I kind of find myself right in the middle,
Yeah.
But I would watch that channel all the time, and the guy's name is Zach, and he has a totally different channel now because he got a lot of hate in the beginning, man. Like a lot of hate. And I get it. He went towards a more political point of view.
Yeah.
And that's fire, man. You got to be careful in there. So But I would watch it all the time. I'm like, okay, I love what he's saying, but I don't like the way he's presenting it. Because
Yeah,
I really believe, like, as human beings, it's cool for us to have differences. The most important thing is the way that we deal with those differences with other people, you know?
definitely. Yeah,
So I was always like, I love what he's saying. I really agree with a lot of stuff he's saying, but I don't like the way he's treating the people or saying things to the people that believe opposite than him. So at
right.
first I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a channel where I kind of talk about those things. And then I started seeing him get sued, people showing up at his house, him getting attacked.
Ay, ay.
And I was
Oh
like, yeah,
God.
never mind, man. I want
Yeah,
nothing to do with that.
I'm gonna stay away. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
man. So I was like, forget that, man. I'm not going that way. And so I just decided, you know what, man, I'm just gonna share my love of comics, and I'm gonna keep it in the comic realm. I'm gonna keep politics out. I'm gonna keep all this other stuff out, and I'm just gonna dive into the beauty of the art and the
Yeah,
story
definitely.
and the comics themselves, man. So that's pretty much like those two channels were the ones I'd watch all the time.
Yeah,
Then when I got in, I started just meeting different people in the community, man. You know, you know how it is, man. You pop,
yeah,
you
no,
know,
definitely.
somebody pops up here, you meet a friend there, you know. I mean, you and I were acquaintances from Super Rust 9000,
Yeah,
and now we're finally 2 years later, you know, like hanging out on the
yeah,
show.
like actually,
So
yeah.
just it works, man. It's
No.
fun. I've met some people that I absolutely love, man, and that have become like family to me. And I'm meeting new people all the time, like today. And so it's good, man. It's really good. It's a lot of fun, and I love it.
Yeah. No, definitely. I definitely agree with you on that. The community sometimes is very like supportive and sometimes can even become like a family.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. I mean, Russ was one of those people for me. And like, I mean, do you collect pops? I mean, like I see like some figures of back there. Okay, yeah, I see.
I got pops, man, but
Okay.
but I'm not. I won't say I'm a pop collector. I collect
Yeah, definitely.
that I like, but I'm not like pop, 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 pop. So I think I
Yeah.
have, I don't know, like 40, 30, 40.
Yeah, no, but um I definitely admire the comic book community, and I don't know if that's where more you resonate. That, like I was saying, because like that's from what I saw, but um, the pop community was like becoming so like negative and things like that. And like
Oh, man.
once Russ hopped onto the comic book community, and I was seeing that community, and I was like, all of you guys, like none of you guys are fighting, like all of you guys are bringing love to each other, supporting each other, and I just saw that, and I was like, that's good, man. Like I love that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think there's like bad apples everywhere, because I've even seen it over here, man. But most of us really try to lift each other up. We really do, man. And
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the people that I've met. Like for instance, a lot of people know me as the guy that has 9.8s, right? I love my high grade comic.
Yeah.
But when I see my friends get a 9.6, I'm not like, look at this joker, he's a loser. You
Yeah,
know?
right.
Like, yeah, baby, you got a 9.6. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, definitely.
we're happy for each other. We try not to worry about competition, and we just like rejoice together. And that's the best part of this community, man. People just lift each other up and rejoice together, you know?
Definitely. No,
cool.
I definitely seen it. And even like watching some of your streams and things like that, like I've seen like the way you guys act with each other, and like I've seen the way you and they talk to you.
Yeah.
It's like you guys are supporting each other, and like I was just having I was having fun watching, and it was because of that, because of like you could see that there was no competition, like you said. There wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get this before you do, or you got something worse than I do. It was never like that from what I saw. So I definitely admired that.
Thanks, man.
I mean, no, definitely. I'm super. I don't even know how to say it, but like, I like it. I like it.
Cool. Works.
I definitely understand some of the comic book stuff. I mean, I used to be like a huge collector of comic books. I stopped a long time ago, and like I want to get back into it, but like seeing how things are right now, I'm just like, oh god,
Scary, right?
Yeah, like, I really want to hop back into that. One of my favorite issues, and a lot of people knew, was basically my first ever issue, or like storyline, and it was like the Demon in a Bottle storyline. Like I got it from my uncle. I eventually had to sell it, which I was like super sad about.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, I'm like, god damn. But bringing it to you, you know, you said the Infinity Gauntlet is one of your favorite Would you say one of your favorite, or it is your favorite?
It's my favorite of all time, man.
It's your favorite.
There-
Do you
There's
have
a
any
lot of
like
things
other
that
ones?
go into that. Yeah, I do. So Infinity Gauntlet is number one for sure, and it's just because I picked up comics at that time. My brother-in-law, who's now passed, he died of cancer in 2008. He gave me those first books. There's a lot that goes into that story, and then just the characters. I love them, but I love Death of Superman. That was out at the same time. I recently, just last 2 years, I've read a lot more stuff that I'm just like, wow, it's mind blowing. And one of those would be the Jeff Johns Green Lantern story. I'm not sure if you're familiar. You know Green Lantern, of course.
Yeah, I know Jeff Johns. I know
Jeff
what
Johns. Go for
like
it.
I've seen some of what he does through
Yeah.
variant comics,
Yeah.
but I haven't like actually read it.
Yeah, man. Like, bro, he writes this story where he completely just takes you from the beginning of Hal Jordan's life through this amazing experience. And I'll tell you what, it's one of the best comic stories I've ever read. It's got this story called Blackest Night, where you have like death itself pretty much getting a power ring and stuff. I mean, there's just it's so much goodness. So I would recommend that. That's one of my favorite reads of all time. The original Silver Surfer trilogy, which is Fantastic Four, 48, 49, and 50, which came out in the 60s. But it introduces Silver Surfer, introduces Galactus. That is one of my favorite stories. Another one that I love is Black Panther's original story in Fantastic Four 52, 53. Really good story, man. So, I mean, there's just so much. And I think
obviously
on a different day, I'll say different things, but the Superman and Infinity Gauntlet are up there, man. Those are my two
top ones.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jeff Johns. Or what's your favorite like writer and illustrator for like comics? I mean, right now, probably like I know it probably changes. I would.
Man, I'd have to say my favorite illustrator of all time would be Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby.
I'm a huge Jack Kirby fan, man. I mean, he just, as a kid, I didn't appreciate it, but the older I get, man, I just think he is just laid the foundation for everybody else. But my personal favorite, like if you're asking me what's your favorite art to look at ever, and it has to do with nostalgia and your youth and putting everything together, it's Jim Lee, man.
Jim Lee, oh.
Jim Lee is just the X-Men in the 90s. My goodness, man. Like, it's all about Jim Lee for me. So I think Jack Kirby's the greatest, but I think Jim Lee's my favorite. And then, hey, Super Russ just popped in. What up, Russ?
Oh, I can't even see it.
Okay,
now I see it. Yeah.
And then my favorite writer. I think I'm gonna have to go. Jim Starlin and Jeff Johns, man. Those two have really blown me away. Right now, Donnie Cates. I don't know. I'm not sure if you're keeping up with comics now, but there's this guy, and he's killing it on everything he touches, and he's making some stories that really blow me away. So Donnie Cates is pretty darn good too.
Is he working for like a specific? Is he working like for a specific DC or like Marvel?
Yeah, he's Marvel, and right now he's working on Thor and Venom. Ooh. And what he's really good at, man, is he takes old characters or old stories, and he kind of puts twists on them, and then makes a new story. And so, that's like cool. He created a character called the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and he took the Punisher, Frank Castle, and had him mix with the Spirit of Vengeance, which is what makes the Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
And then live for like forever and ever and ever and become this new character, the Cosmic Ghost Rider. But it's like turned comic books upside down, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really cool to see him to make those little tweaks, but the way he writes is just so good that I'm enjoying it a lot, man. So
yeah, no, definitely I understand that. I definitely understand like getting attached, or not getting attached, but like reading a story and just like diving into it, like almost feeling like you're in there, or even it sometimes like a little story, something you read word by word makes you feel something instead of like something you see on the movies and things like that.
Yeah.
I have some like big questions. We'll start off with one of them. Do you prefer comics or movies?
That is a big question, man. Oh, wow. Man, that's a hard question.
Yeah.
Let me work this out loud. All right. So some of my favorite moments in my life have been at the movie theater. When Star Wars Episode 1 was going to come out, I was in 8th grade. And like Star Wars hadn't come out since 1983, the year I was born. And all of a sudden they're going to give us the prequels. It's 1998, right? And it's like, it comes out next year in 1999. Like, you're going to get to finally hear how Anakin turned into Darth Vader and all this stuff, you know? So I went and camped out and think about this. Back those days, no cell phones, you know, they only had the big, huge bricks, you know what I'm saying? So like, we didn't have cell phones. We had to stay in line to get stuff. So me and my college-age sister, so I'm in 8th grade, she's already in college, and she's like, I'm like, I need to go camp out, and I need to get tickets to this. So we camped out in this movie theater parking lot for like 3 days in a tent, and we're just waited in line, and we were like 800th in line, okay?
Jeez.
And we got our tickets, and I saw that movie, and it just blew my mind, man. I mean, it just, to have Star Wars return, to wait out there, like, you know, that's so cool. And then, you know, seeing movies like The Matrix and, you know, all the stuff that's happening in that movie, and then Infinity War and Endgame, like, those are some amazing experiences. But Endgame would not be as cool to me, at least, if I didn't love the comics as much as I did, you know, I do. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to compare them because it's apples and oranges. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you're asking me, do I prefer the Infinity Gauntlet storyline in comics opposed to the Infinity War line in the MCU, they're both amazing. But if I had to choose one, I'm taking comic books, man.
Comic books?
Yeah, I mean, just the Infinity Gauntlet is just so good in comic books, man, that it's like the MCU's missing characters like the Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock, Mephisto. There's a lot of things that happen in the comics that they couldn't do in the movies because they didn't have all the rights.
Right, yeah.
And so, like, most of the time, if you ask me, do you prefer the book over the movie, I'm going to take the book, man.
The book.
So I think I'd go with comics, but again, it's apples and oranges. They're two different things that I absolutely love, man.
Yeah.
So
no, definitely.
If that even answers your question.
No, it definitely did. Kind of staying kind of with that topic, you know, we talked about Infinity Gauntlet, bringing it kind of into the big screens. Is there a specific storyline you would want to see in the big screens right now, or?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of them, bro.
I mean, yeah, all of them. Let's get all of them on there.
Let's get all of them. Okay, so there's this idea I have of them bringing in that Galactus trilogy and Silver Surfer. So they'll have to introduce the Fantastic Four,
right?
They'll have to introduce the Silver Surfer and Galactus, and that opens up this whole cosmic, amazing, big idea, right? So I could see them doing that, and then slipping in Secret Wars. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Secret Wars. Yeah. So
huge.
Yeah. Let's see. Where is it? This one right
here. Yeah,
I
saw the comic book right there.
Yeah. In this story, like, they have all the villains, all the heroes coming up against each other. And that's where Spidey first finds the symbiote suit.
Yeah.
So I would love to see the Secret Wars, Galactus, all that kind of stuff come together. It brings in Doctor Doom, it brings in the mutants. I mean, it brings in all kinds of stuff. And this would have to be another 10-year project. But I love the
definitely.
Secret Wars, you know, like, come to the big screen, Galactus trilogy. And then eventually, because Spidey gets his suit here, the black Spidey suit, then it introduces Venom. And then we do like a Maximum Carnage kind of storyline, you know? So that would be cool. That's a whole lot right there, you know?
No, I definitely understand. I mean, I think they have started to tease Secret Wars a little bit with Captain Marvel and things like that. And what was the latest one? Far From Home, where they basically revealed that one of the scrolls was Nick, and I was just like, okay, now hold up, now wait a minute. And now that they're introducing Sword into the MCU, and I'm just like, okay, so big things are happening clearly. Were you excited? I mean, kind of a dumb question, but you were excited when Fox was bought out by Disney, and I mean, basically meant, X-Men, Fantastic Four. They had some other rights. Who was it?
Daredevil, I think. No,
I don't even remember. Well, those were the two big ones, really, like the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Were you excited when you saw that?
Yeah, man. Like, part of me knows that Disney is this humongous giant that has kind of created a monopoly.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. So that kind of worries me, to be honest with you. If they ever go in a direction I don't like, they've got all that power. But what they did with Iron Man 1 all the way through Endgame, it was magnificent, man. To me, it's the greatest thing that's ever been on the silver screen, man. It's just
Definitely
mind-boggling and amazing and great. So when they got the rights, I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I'll take this.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do, And look, the X-Men movies were amazing. When X-Men 1 came out, I loved it. You look back at it now, you're like, okay, it's not as good as I remember.
It's a little iffy, yeah.
But they were good. They were good. But the MCU is great. And so I'm hoping that they take that greatness and they have the mutants and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and they do it right, I mean, nobody ever even knew about the Guardians of the Galaxy before the movie came out, except for really hardcore comic collectors. And now the Guardians of the Galaxy Groot is like in everybody's house.
Big, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if they can do that with a no-name group, what are they going to do with the X-Men or the Fantastic Four, whoever? Yeah. So I got trust. I hope they do it, and I can't wait to see what happens, man.
Yeah, definitely. Are you big on like castings and things like that? Do you prefer like accurate castings or?
I love when things stay the way they are in the comics, man. Like, for instance, Aquaman. All right. Great actor. Love the guy that plays him. I just don't think he's the perfect Aquaman.
Right. Yeah.
Did he do a horrible job? No, he did a great job. But he did not represent what, in my reading experience in my life, what I see Aquaman as.
Right.
I see him as this very quiet, powerful, regal character that's still confused inside and fighting between his human side and his Atlantis side, but just this regal guy. And the actor that played him wasn't regal to me, So
yeah, he was not outstanding.
My man.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't see saying my man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But he was almost more serious in the comics.
I'm not hating on him. Like, he got the role. I'm happy for him. Go do your thing. You know what I'm saying? But if you're asking me if I was going to cast that guy, I would not have casted that. I want blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aquaman, just like the comics show me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, and I'm not a fan of diversity for diversity's sake, just to throw it in your face and be like, we're doing diversity, I
definitely get that. Yeah.
If you can get a great actor that is diverse, just because they're a great actor and they're going to do good, I'm 100% for that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely understand that.
Legit.
I mean, I definitely felt that with who was it? Black Canary. I definitely felt it with Black Canary. And one big thing for me was it kind of almost depends on where you're at with it. But in my opinion, if you don't want to let's say you don't have the rights to Miles Morales right now.
Mm-hmm.
For me, one of the things was I look back at the animated show, the Batman animated show.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced Harley Quinn. Like, she wasn't an original comic book character. So one of my things was like, if you want to do diversity, like, don't change a character that we already know. Introduce a new character. Make people love this new character, like make them want to see them in the comics, make them want to see them continue on. So like I definitely understand that, and that's how I felt with Black Canary, where I was just like, for me, when I picture Black Canary, I see the Caucasian blonde.
Yep.
Yeah, so I definitely, yeah. And I mean, a lot of people like to like bring it into like, I mean, it's hard to say, but like into a racial place, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go there because I'm not trying to go there. It's more like, it's just how I see the character.
Right.
So, and it's not like it's diminishing, but
I went to school to be a writer. I don't know if you know this, but I write kids books and stuff, and I write novels, and nothing published though, but I do a lot of writing. And one of the things that I learned there was, because I was trying to push certain things when I first got into writing, I wanted to like tell people how to believe through a character, you know? And a lot of times my professors would be like, dude, you're trying too hard. And because you're trying too hard, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel natural. We can feel that you're trying to do it as a reader, as an audience. And because we can feel that, we don't get on board with it. Right. So they're always like, whenever you're going to do something, make it organic, make it real, you know, don't try too hard. And so that's always been in my mind. And as I watch these characters, you know, where they like take a character and they want to change the race, and they're doing it just because they want a Mexican like myself, or a black person, like that's all they want to do is just put that out there. If you can feel that in the audience, or if you know, as us as the audience people, if we know that they're just doing it for that reason, it's not organic. It's not real.
yeah, definitely.
You know? But if you come up with like, hey man, this actor or actress came and killed it on the tryouts, you know, on the audition, and we think they are the best at this character, it has nothing to do with their race. They're just amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
They put that on the screen, I'll fall in love with it all day long, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree with you in that sense, man. Just it's got to be organic, and it's got to be real. And if you do that, you can, like Harley Quinn. My goodness, man, I remember watching that. And later, Russ.
Yeah, I was gonna say peace out.
I remember watching Harley come to the Batman animated series, and I was just like, "Who is this character?"
Right? Yeah.
You know? She was so great, man.
Yeah, and now she's become a very loved character for a lot of people.
Yep.
So kind of moving on forward, we're still going to stay with comics and digital stuff. From what I've like seen, from like watching some of your videos and some of your live streams, would you agree with me saying that you're more of a physical collector than a kind of digital collector?
Yeah. So I'm all over the place with the way I collect. All right. So when I first got back into comics, I was collecting everything that I didn't have, like I kind of mentioned earlier. I remember being a kid and saying, I want the next X-Men issue, but my mom won't take me to the store, and I don't have any money, so I can't read what comes out next, right? So when I first, got back into collecting, I went and collected the entire Infinity Gauntlet. Like, I had some of them, but then I went out. I think there's like something like 56 different comics that make up that story, and I had like 6 of them, just the main story.
Yeah.
Now and got all the tie-ins and all the stories, and man, it was so great. And then I did that with Death of Superman, and I did that with Civil War, and I did that with tons of stuff, right? So I got all these stories, started reading through them, and then I just went crazy, man. I bought all kinds of stuff I didn't need, had no rhyme or reason. I was just whatever I saw,
Yeah.
But now I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm collecting, and it's got to fall into a couple different categories. The first thing is it's got to be something that I have an attachment to. So I'm not just going to go collect anything just to have it. I used to do that, but I'm not doing that anymore. Now it's like, okay, I love the Sentry. I love that story. It's one, I should have mentioned that earlier too. That's one of my favorite stories. And because of that, I want to have the entire story because it means something to me, So I've got to have an attachment to it. That's one. Number 2 is whenever I pick something up, it's got to be at a smart price. And comics are kind of like pops, man. You know this. When they're hot, they get really, really high.
Yeah.
And everybody wants them, and people spend a lot of money. And then eventually that stuff dies down, except for very few. You know, there are those books like the very first Spider-Man that's never really going to go down. It's always going to trend up. And there'll be some years where it takes a little dip, but most of the time it's still trending up. You know what I mean? So I know there's probably pops like that. But most of the other ones, they get hot, everybody wants them, and then the movie's done, and then they all drop back down.
Yeah.
Left with a pop or a book where you're like, whoa, I paid way too much for this, you know? And I'm going to have to wait 20 years for me to get my money back. So the second thing is when I collect, I want to get it at the right time for the right price. And so that's really saved me from just getting caught up in the moment and going and just collecting a ton of stuff and whatever.
Right.
And the final thing is I have 7 kids, like I told you, man. People will ask me, are there any comic book in your collection you'll never sell? Bro, if something happens to my kids, I will sell everything, including the shirt on my back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nothing material in this world that I wouldn't get rid of, sell, or do whatever I have to do so I could take care of my family. You know what I mean? So the last thing is I collect comics so with the intent of making a profit in the future if I have to. And so that goes back to the part 2 is if I get it at the right price at the right time, and then all of a sudden the movie comes out and the book shoots up, I'm going to sell that baby.
Right. Yeah.
That way I can make some money. So my collection is a lot of slabs. I love my slabs. I have some right here, you know. And it's for that reason. I love that character. I got it at a good price, and I may sell it to make some money in the future, right?
Yeah.
But I went over that whole thing. But I really enjoy reading digital way more than I enjoy reading a physical copy.
Yeah.
And the comic community thinks I'm crazy because most comic guys love the smell of the paper.
Yeah, that physical, yeah.
Flip through it to look at everything. But man, I'm so worried about condition all the time and making sure that thing stays crisp.
Yeah.
The most money out of it that I'm always like, oh, I don't even want to touch this. And I'm not comfortable. So now I got my iPad right here, man. And I download all kinds of digital stuff. So I'll even buy the comics, store them away, and then I'll read the story digitally, man.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, I know that was a long-winded question.
No, you're good.
I love digital, man. I really do.
No, I definitely. Do you see comics going that way, like fully? Do you ever see them like stopping all physical copies, stopping all like continuations and things like that, and just going full to digital?
We live in a digital world now, man. I never thought there'd be a time when CDs really didn't sell much.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember CDs coming out and that was the thing. And then MP3s came out and you're like, yeah, whatever. I still enjoy my CDs. And I think last year was the first time albums outsold CDs like in the last 30 years. People are still cool getting their albums and throwing them on a record player, you know?
Yeah.
But like everybody gets their music through iTunes or through Spotify or whatever, right? We're just in a digital world. And I think definitely more people are going to pick up comics digitally. And a lot more people are going to start reading digitally. And I think even DC is trying right now to kind of push this whole idea of digital because it saves them money. If they don't have to print out a book, they can make a lot more money selling it to people. And they could pay artists a lot less, paid nothing for paper and ink and all this kind of things.
Right. Yeah.
I know they're pushing that way. I don't believe that comics is the medium that will ever disappear, though. I think there's a hardcore group of people that love comic books and they love going out and feeling that and opening it up and reading through them, that though they'll push digital, I think comics will last for forever, man.
Yeah.
They'll still be printed out.
Yeah, because I mean, books and comic books have been here for a very long time. So it's, yeah, I mean, I definitely understand that it would be a very difficult thing to just stop it out of nowhere.
Yep.
You know, I definitely agree with you. I mean, I even see like, I mean, probably one of the reasons is more because it's very convenient now, where it's like, like you said with music, like you can't take a whole record or you can't take a whole CD unless you have like a little pocket CD player,
Yep.
or like you got everything on your phone right now. So it's definitely more convenient. You have every comic basically on your phone now, and it's like
Fingertips.
just yeah, exactly. So no, I definitely understand that. Um, no, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So moving on into kind of back into YouTube, uh, you kind of went off where you when you first started. Now we're gonna kind of go on into the middle. Like, were there any kind of obstacles or like difficulties when you were going, um, like when you were posting or just even staying on a schedule, things like that?
Yeah, man. There's a lot of things that came up and changed the way and the reason I do things and the reason I'm still here, you know. First thing was when I first got in, I was breaking down Infinity Gauntlet, and I was going and I was getting a lot of views, and I was growing really, really quick. And so I've had a few of my friends be like, "We thought you were going to be like that 10,000, 20,000, subscriber guy. You were moving so fast."
Yeah.
But because I have 7 kids and I have so much that goes on, I had some things happen like right in the middle of my quick growth where I had to take a little bit of like a 3-month hiatus from YouTube.
Yeah.
And that like pumped the brakes so hard. And I never came back from that because I'm so busy still. So when I first got into it, I was very business driven. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get lots of subscribers. I'm going to make money.
Right.
That's what I was thinking of, So
Mhm.
I would do what a lot of people do. I'd do giveaways. I'd be throwing money at people so I could get subscribers, right? And I learned a lesson from that. I was always, on YouTube doing stuff. And sometimes I wasn't hanging out with my kids and stuff. And so when I took that first hiatus, I lost a lot of subscribers, not lost subscribers, but just interest. They're like,
Yeah.
the boy who had 7, where'd he go? Well, I haven't seen a video for 2 months, so I'll move on to the next great thing. So I lost a lot of interest. And when I came back, it was much slower growth than before,
Yeah.
I was given, like I said, I was giving away giveaways and I was doing all kinds of stuff like that. And I had this idea of, if I can get to 1,000, I can start making money. And man, that just, it's the wrong way to do things. It's kind of like what we were talking earlier. If I'm doing diversity for diversity's sake, there's not really organic in it. Nothing.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to just get subscribers, I realize I'm doing it the wrong way. What I need to do is have a passion for what I do and love and communicate with the people that spend their time with me. And so once I kind of changed that idea, I started making lots of friends. And that is really my favorite thing about YouTube. I don't have the time anymore to be focused and put out a video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, If I did, I think I'd grow a lot more. And I have tons of ideas where I could do it. I just don't have the time to do it. So for somebody like me, like Gem Mint. Are you familiar with Gem Mint?
No.
So Gem Mint is like a statue versus comic guy. And he now has 90,000 subscribers. When I started, he only had 5,000. So the dude has grown. And one of the things that he's done is, one of the things, he's a great guy. He actually lives up the street from me. He's really cool. He's invited to his house a few times and stuff. Really great. But he gets statues all the time. He knows what he's talking about. He's got an amazing collection that people want to see. And he just puts a video out every single day. And once he started doing that, he just started blowing up like crazy. So
yeah, definitely.
Would I want to do that? I would, man. I would. But right now, my station in life is dad of 7. And I got to make sure that my kids, because they won't always be here at home. They're going to grow up, go off and do their own thing. And I don't want to look back and be like, I was on YouTube all the time and missed out their lives,
Right. Yeah.
So priorities right now, right? So I do what I can when I can. But while I'm on here, man, I'm going to make sure that the relationships that I make are lasting relationships. And that's really just changed everything, man. So my focus is putting out content that can make people excited and teach them a little something. And then when people reach out to me, I like to reach out back and make new friends,
Right.
So, the fact that I don't have the time to invest completely in YouTube, it's cool for me. I'm okay with that because I got other priorities,
Yeah.
The lessons that I've learned where I kind of started out like, let me do this and let me do that. I realized, hey, man, it's not organic. It's the wrong way to do things. And I think I've grown from both of those things,
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now, man.
Definitely balancing things is difficult. I mean, like I have my vlog series, and I even say it on there. Like one of the reasons I'm not vlogging when I'm spending time with friends or when I'm spending time with my family is because at that moment I want to be with my family. I want to be with my friends. Like I'm not going to pull out a camera just so that I can basically stop. Like I don't even know how to say it, but like I definitely understand where that balance is trying to coming from. And I've said it before, and a lot of people definitely, I would say, have to understand that sometimes like we can't just like always produce. Like obviously, a lot of us would probably want to produce every single day. That's me right now. Like I wish I could produce every day, but I have work, I have friends. Like I'm like 18 right now. Like I still have a life to go on. So I'm just like I want to focus on that too. I can't just like I can't be as much as I'd want to be all business. Um, I have a life and I want to live that. So I definitely understand that. And I kind of just mentioned it right now, kind of letting people know that that's one of the things I would let people know. Is there something that you would want to like let people know for people that are starting right now? Like what's I mean, it doesn't just have to be one single tip, but like what's something that you would tell up and comers right now?
Yeah, man. So biggest lesson I learned, I just mentioned it, is do it for the right reasons. If you are doing this because you want to make money and get famous and all stuff, like you may be good enough to do it,
Yeah.
but it's not organic. It's not real. It's your fans, the people that watch your show will eventually realize they're just a means to your end. And
Yeah.
if somebody figures that out, they're done with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? None of us like to be used. None of us like to just be somebody's means to an end. So love what you're doing. Love whatever it is that you're YouTubing. Love it. And then really be appreciative of who is watching your videos and put out content that is worth their time, worth them spending their time with you. So if I could go back and start again like that, I really would. I'd change a lot of things up, But that would be my number one advice. And number two is just find out a way to make the world a better place with what you want to share on YouTube. Because there's some crazy stuff happening. All of us in the world right now in 2020 are experiencing stuff that is just unprecedented, and the hate and the anger to add on top of everything we're going through, it's just too much,
Definitely.
So if you can be a bright light with whatever you're doing because you're passionate, because you have love, because the way you interact with your subscribers, whatever it is, make the world a better place. And so if you do those two things, really love what you're doing and make the world a better place, I think you will be successful at whatever it is you do. And that's what I would tell somebody just starting out, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, and even if it doesn't take you to successful places,
Yeah.
those two advices, at least with those two tips, you're gonna be happy with what you create. You're gonna be happy with what you're putting out to other viewers. Like maybe you're not getting the millions of viewers you want, but you knowing that, hey, I'm happy doing this. Like I love putting this. I love actually working on this.
Yeah.
That's something way different than seeing like a comment saying, hey, I mean, obviously I appreciate like everybody that comments on my videos is saying like, hey, I love this video. But when I'm actually recording and I'm watching it back, I'm like, I like what I'm doing right now. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you on that. That's definitely a great advice. And the whole make a world a greater place or find something to make a world a greater place, I definitely applaud that, man, because I've said it in videos, mainly in my vlogs, but when I try and produce content, I try and make it so that people, end up getting a smile from what they watch, end up like maybe having or not a joke, but like a laugh when they watch it. Like even if it's just a little chuckle, at least like that little tiny second, it stopped everything that's around you.
Yeah.
And just made you have a good time.
Yeah.
If that's something to say. Yeah.
Cool.
And
Man.
I definitely see it with, people that watch you, like they love your stuff, and you can tell that they're having fun watching it. They're happy watching it. And it's something that I very much like. That's the type of creators I want to get on here. And like, I don't need just people that I know, because that's going to be easy for me. Yeah. I want to get creators that are making a difference. I want to get creators that are, like you just said, making the world a greater place. And that's what I truly saw.
Thank you, man.
That's why I wanted to. No, definitely, man. So no, I definitely agree with you on that, man, with both of those sips. Moving on. I know I've said that quite a few times now. But like I said, I have a couple of big questions. Another big roller now is Marvel or DC, man?
Okay, so I'm going to take the father approach here. And when my first son was born, man, I remember, do you have kids? I know you said you're young. So,
yeah.
So by the time I was your age, I had my first kid, man. I started really young. But I remember him being born, and I was just baffled, bro, with the amount of love that I felt. There's nothing like it. When you have your first kid, you'll know what I'm talking about, man. So when my second child was born, it wasn't that I had to choose between them. My heart just grew, right? Like I loved my first child, and now my second child, my heart's bigger, and I love that much.
Yeah.
Right? I love Marvel and DC, man. I love the heck out of both of them, bro. But I'll tell you this. I grew up a Marvel kid and a Batman fan. So I absolutely loved all things Marvel. I had way more Marvel comics and everything, but I watched Batman, the animated series, all the time and loved everything Batman, right? So, I mean, if you came and looked at my collection, it's probably like 65% Marvel and the 35% DC. So Marvel, I have way more Marvel than I do DC. But if you look at my main keys, the most comics that I have are Batman comics and then Spider-Man next, And those are my two favorite characters, Batman and Spider-Man. Yeah. So, I mean, if you made me choose, man, I think just based off of what I collect, it'd have to be Marvel. But I mean, my favorite character of all time is Spider-Man, and then it's two DC characters, Batman and Superman. So, yeah, man, it's so hard to choose. That's why I said the data. Yeah. And I love them both.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely get that. At the end of the day, I will enjoy both of the storylines, both of the characters that they produce, and we've seen it before, not a merger, but we've seen it before with some crossovers and things like that.
Yeah.
When people see those crossovers, like I would love to see that in the big screen. Yeah. But I believe, isn't there a big crossover coming on like soon?
There's supposed to be a DC Marvel crossover in the comics. So
yeah,
they've done it many times before, but they're working on one again right now. And then they just mentioned, so the new Thor story that's happening right now, there's this character from outer space that is this cosmic being that they've never heard of before, and it's coming. And one of the guys kind of mentioned it could be a character from DC coming to Marvel. So it was kind of interesting. There's a lot of buzz going on, but we'll see if that plays out. But yeah, there definitely is a crossover going to happen soon.
Yeah, I read something about that. Isn't there? They teased it on like a little segment. It was like a little somebody saying, or I can't remember, but it was like going to be called. I mean, do you know what it's going to be called?
I'm not sure, man. I've just kind of heard the whispers about it and everything, but I'm not on top of it.
Yeah, like I remember, I know it was like a mix of two of like the big titles. I believe the DC one was like Crisis on Infinite Earths, but I don't remember the Marvel one. But like as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be big. That's gonna be. I mean, like everything is gonna blast up. Um, you mentioned something that I completely forgot earlier. You know, when we were talking about, I can't remember, but it was your number two. You were saying how like the price is right. That's when you would buy something.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes like obviously you sell like did you have a She-Hulk like anywhere, and did you sell that when they announced the She-Hulk?
So I actually have a She-Hulk right here somewhere.
um
You know
but
what?
then
So, like, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, so obviously as a seller, you know,
Yeah.
that works,
Yeah.
but as a collector, is there any like, why are you doing this right now, or like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah. So there's a book that I actually have it right here because I'm going to be on a show after this, and I was preparing some stuff. And this is the Fantastic Four number 48, which is the first appearance of Galactus and the Silver Surfer, right? And so I was hunting this book as a collector because I love this story. And so it means something to me.
Yeah.
I want it, and I want to be able to sell it in the future if I have to. Hopefully I never have to, right? I can pass it to my kids and they can make tons of money, you know, or they can pass it to their kids, whatever. But I was looking for this book in a 9.0 white pages, and I had found one for about $2,000. But at the time, this was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I never spend that type of money on a comic. It's insane to think someone's going to spend $2,000 on a comic book, you know? So I held off for a while, and I was like, you know, I don't really know if I should do it. And then all of a sudden, there's rumors that Disney is going to be able to get the Fox rights back. And as soon as that happened, I went online and I'm like, I better get it now just in case. It was still there. I put it in my cart. I started filling in all my PayPal information. And right as I pressed purchase, it said this item is no longer available. And I was like, what? So I got on there and I looked, and it had sold to somebody else. Within the time I put it in my cart, somebody else bought it. They beat me to it, right? I was going to pay $2,000 for that other book. Right now, it's selling something for like $8,000. And so just because of the news, it changed like that. And it kills me, man, because I wanted that grade. I wanted that specific copy, and I kick myself for waiting on it. And even if I needed to sell it now, I could have paid $2,000 then and make a $6,000 profit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, when you're a collector and that news breaks, if you don't already have the books, you can either get lost in spending a lot of money,
Yeah.
or you'll lose out. And so that's kind of the hard thing about collecting and looking for things. When that news hits, it changes everything. So as a seller, it's nice, you know, because I mean, sometimes you feel bad because you're like, maybe this book is going to be really high, and then maybe eventually it's going to come down. And so I've often asked myself, because like I said, I like to make the world a better place. I've said, you know, am I selling this? Is this bad of me to sell this book when I know eventually it probably is going to come back down? This person's going to be stuck with this, you know? But then I've seen comics work both ways. I've seen something like this book 5 years ago, it went up. It hasn't dropped yet. And it just continually goes up. So say somebody bought it for me when I made a profit, and then it keeps going up and they make a profit, you know? So my thing is, as long as I'm not cheating anybody, I'm going off of what the comic book is worth right now and what the market's doing, I'm okay with selling it. And so, you know, when She-Hulk first got announced, I actually sold one of the copies of She-Hulk that I had. And I made about a $200 profit from where I had purchased it, you know?
Yeah.
And now just yesterday, that other information's coming out and everybody's looking for it. And I got a raw one. I'm like, it's time to sell it, baby.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, I see it everywhere. It's not only with comic book, it's not only with pops, it's not only with like statues, figures. Like one of the big ones I know was you know, the passing of Chadwick Boseman, which like rest in peace. But just for curiosity, I went to look at like Black Panther first issues, or not first issues, but like I mean, I saw one and it was expensive as hell, but like just things just like having to do with Black Panther, even something I wanted, which was like a Marvel Legend. I was looking at it, it was like $85 when they normally retail for like $20. So I was like, okay, so they're obviously profiting off of it, which in my opinion, at that time, for me, there was a little wrong into that, where it was like you're taking advantage of the passing of someone, not like, okay, some news got spread out or some that when that happened, I was like, okay, this is kind of getting a little wild. I don't like this that much. I obviously know a lot of people were at that moment looking for Black Panther stuff and things like that, but just to see how many people, I mean, kind of took advantage of it, I was like, wow, that's
two examples that I'll go with you. I don't like signatures on my comic books. I like them virgin, left
pristine,
alone, you know what I mean? And so I had about 5 Stan Lee signatures on some pretty nice comic books. And I thought, you know what? Stan's the man. I'll keep one comic in my collection with his signature on it so I could say I got Stan's signature. And I knew which one that was. And when he passed, everybody threw their books up. And I had mine for sale. I actually took mine down because I didn't want to feel like I was profiting off of Stan Lee's death. Especially because of all the stuff that he's given to the world. My life would not be the same without Spider-Man. It just would not be. The comic books that I've read have influenced me in my life in so many ways that I'm just like, I can't make money. That the fact that Stan just died, I can't make money.
Yeah.
And when Chadwick passed away, I shed some tears, man. You know, just because he's a human being and just because there's family that's going to lose him, but also because he was a great Black Panther, a great actor. And the next day, I mean, not even the next day, the same day, I see some people that I know pretty well throwing up, you know, Black Panther books for $200, $300, $400 more than that they were for just hours before. And I'm not going to judge anybody and tell people like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
I will say for me and myself, I don't think that's cool at all, man. I do not think it's good to profit off somebody's death. So I didn't have any Black Panther comics for sale, so I didn't take them down this time. But I won't. I have some I want to sell, but I'm not going to sell them for a little bit longer because I just don't want to feel like I'm doing that, you know. So man, I stay away from that for sure.
Yeah, no, like that was one of the times where, because I understand when I see the like for example, what I just said, like the She-Hulk news that just came out yesterday. I understand that, like people wanting to get more issues of that, people obviously raising the prices. So I saw that and I was like, okay, I understand that. But when I saw the Black Panther things, I was like, I definitely do not agree with this. Like this is I didn't like it. So that's one of the reasons why I really brought that up was, is there a line? And I mean, you kind of answered it before I even asked it, but like, yeah, there is a line to that, at least for you. And I definitely agree with that.
I heard one of my friends say one time, and it was true. It's true, but each of us kind of have to stand on our own and make a name for ourselves. And he said, "Look, man, a comic is worth what anybody's willing to pay for it." And I was like, "That's true. You know, it is. Like if I have this comic book and I'm not selling it unless I get $5, but everybody else is selling it for $2, I'm probably never going to sell it until somebody comes around that doesn't know they could get it for $2 and buys it from me for $5, you know? So in that case, like you're right, whatever you decide to sell, it's your property. You can do with it what you want. You could sell it for a penny. You could sell it for $1 million. And depending on if you get the right person in the door at the right time, they may or may not buy it, you know? But for me, I make a name for myself, man. I want people to come back. I want people to buy more from me. I want people to know I've got morals and I've got direction in my life and I'm a good human being. And so for me, the best way to do it is just what's it trending for right now? What's everybody buying it for? You can fudge the numbers a little up or a little down from there, you know, but that's kind of how I like to stay neutral, you know, just right there in the middle. everybody's paying the same price right now, and I'm good with that, you know.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody, you know, is going through a hard time and they're selling their Black Panther books because they're going to lose their house, they can't pay their mortgage, and the books are selling, I'm not going to judge a person to do that.
Yeah.
Like you got to do what you got to do to survive sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing it because you're greedy, I'm not down with that.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. So we've talked about the beginning, we've talked about the middle, and for you right now, do you consider this a career? Would you want it to be a career if you don't consider it as a career right now? Where are you at right now?
So I own my own company, and I have 7 kids, which I've said a whole bunch of times on this video. And those 2 things take my priority. Those 2 things are my kids are my wife are my world, and my business outside of YouTube is what pays the bills, right? So because of that, I don't have as much time as I'd like to put into YouTube. I think I have some pretty cool ideas where I could make the channel grow, and I could start making more money than I'm making now. I think since I got monetized, I've made about $1,000 on YouTube. So doing something you love and just making that money is pretty darn cool, you know?
Yeah.
But that's not going to sustain a family of 9. You know, $1,000 for in the last year.
Yeah.
It's not going to, you know, last too much. So, I mean, would I love to make this a full-fledged bill-paying business? I would, man. It'd be great. I just know I don't have all the time to push as much into it as I want. So what I've been doing lately is I'm trying to really stay on top of the content that I put out. I have the time to put the content out, and it's good content. So I don't know if you saw when you're looking through my channel, but I just recently released the top 100 9.8s in my collection. And so I did them 10 videos at a time. And I could have gotten up and just been like, okay, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one. I have this one, you know? But what I did is, yeah, there's the giveaway right there, and there's the last one. Okay. So, like numbers 10 through 1, right? What I did is explain to people why they fit at that number, and then I gave some information on the different comics. And one of the things I loved was that a lot of people were like, man, I didn't even know this about this character. I didn't know this about this comic. I kept watching because you kept giving us like all of this great information. And so I'm trying to make sure whenever I put out videos, they're either fun for the community, like my live show, Comic Gories, or they're informative and fun to watch, you know? And so sometimes I'll watch a video back, and then I'll have my wife and kids watch it. They're like, that one's boring, Dad. And so I never post it, you know? And so, like, you know, I mean, I'm just trying to put out good content. And I actually do use YouTube as a business. It just isn't a lucrative business just yet.
Yeah, it's not like main business right now, not what's going to help with the bills, with everything in life. Yeah, I get that. No, I mean, obviously I would love to make this. I've said it on the vlogs, and I know I keep on bringing the vlogs up. Like, that's where mainly I talk about, yeah, like the channel and things like that. But like I've said it, like, I say it at the end of the video. It's like, help me make this channel into what I see it as, and that's as a company, because that's really where I want to take it. And even though right now, like you said, it's not what's paying the bills, it's not what's bringing in, like, I would still obviously love to have it be something like that.
Yes. Yeah, man. To make something like this where you get to collect comics or pops or talk to people online, like your source of income, and that'd be so great.
No, definitely. Looking through, so at the Instagram right now, move to the Instagram. We have the link right there, and I've kept the link up on the screen the whole time. So if anybody wants to check him out, check him out. But this is also his Instagram. Some dope stuff here. I know. This is amazing. Russ picked it up. Are you gonna pick up the 3 Jokers or anything like that?
Yeah, I actually got the
Yeah.
first issue that came out, and I'll grab the next two that come out, man, because Batman, like I said, I love all three.
Yeah.
So I got to get Joker.
Yeah, no, when I heard, or like when I started seeing like that thing, and it's the comedian, the criminal,
Uh-huh.
and I can't remember the last one.
Either, man.
Yeah, but I read that and I was just like, so does that mean there's three different Jokers? Are we just like splitting him up, or like are we just like breaking him down? I saw that and I was like, okay, so this could be one of the things that could possibly bring me back into, because I saw that and I just immediately got like, it was one of those things that I haven't felt in a while, like not even from Pops, not from like video games, TV shows. It was just like I saw that and I was like, I can be truly invested into that.
Cool, man.
So that being said, are there any issues right now that kind of, I mean, obviously it's hard to bring back memories from like as a child, or like when you first read the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Are there any issues right now that you would say like when you read it, it's like it brought you back almost, even though it wasn't even the same story?
Yeah, man. One thing I love to do, because you can, no matter how long you live, a normal human life is not going to be able to read all the comics that have ever been made. It's just impossible. There's so many. But what I love to do is I love to go back and read what we call back issues. So comics that aren't currently coming out, they've come out in the past, right? And so one of the ones that I just recently read is the Winter Soldier storyline when he's first introduced into the world, and it's written by a guy named Brubaker, and it is just fabulous, man. I was angry, I was laughing, I was sad, I cried reading it. Like it was so good that it just made me feel like a kid again, experience a fantasy. And every time that I read a good comic like that and it takes me into the world and I'm invested and I care what happens to the characters, I get that feeling like when I was a kid reading Infinity Gauntlet for the first time. And so there's a few that have come out where I'm like, this is fabulous. The Thor run by Donny Cates, the Venom stuff that's going on right now is really good. More recently, when Jane Foster became Thor, we talked about earlier about diversity and stuff and changing characters. When I first heard about that, I was like, nah, I don't want anything to do with that. Thor is not a girl, right?
Yeah.
And I started reading the story. The art was incredible. The storyline was incredible. She didn't take Thor's place, but stuff happened to where she got Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
And my goodness, man, that story, fabulous. And what I love even more about it, man, is that I read it to my two daughters who are 9 and 8. They're my two youngest ones. And I was reading them this story about this female character picking up Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and becoming Thor. And there's a panel where Thor became unworthy, so he couldn't lift Mjolnir anymore. And so he left it on the moon, just there, sitting there. And nobody can lift it because you got to be worthy. And all of a sudden, the comic book shows the moon, and it shows in the distance Mjolnir. Then the next panel gets closer and closer and closer until you see a shadow next to it. And then you see a hand reaching for it, a female hand. And then you see her wrap her hand around it. And then the next panel is her holding it in the air. And look, I got goosebumps all over.
Goosebumps are just
showing that to my daughters, their faces were like, oh, like they were just blown away by this moment in comics where Jane Foster becomes Thor. And I remember looking over at them and I got teary-eyed because I'm like, that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That is when a piece of art becomes real and it inspires people and it makes the world a better place, right? So, I mean, stuff like that, man. There's tons of reads out there that are like that for me.
Yeah.
And those are just a couple to name a few,
Yeah, no. It's definitely awesome to hear like people talk about that. Like I've watched people in the comic book community and even like it's not the same, obviously, but like watching movies where it's like they describe what they felt at that moment, and to me, it's just like it's I don't know if it's not empowering, but it's a very cool feeling to see like to feel something from a story or to feel something from a character that you've never heard of in your life, or something, or a character that you have heard of in your life but like you weren't really attached to them. And just
Yep.
Like for me, I applaud sometimes like single movies that have deaths, and the reason I say that is because some movies like they manage to, in the span of 1 hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours, to make you feel like attached enough to a single character, and make you, like, if they die or if something happens to them, like actually feel attached. And you saying that right now, like about the Jane Foster, and like how like by every panel it was getting like more feelings and things like that, and like by the final panel it was like you felt this great. So I love that, when stories do that. And I understand when people talk about it, and how you just said it right now, just it's definitely cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, comics are great.
Yeah. So right now, is there any like other projects you're working on? I know you just said you're well, I already clicked it off. But the show you're working on right now, what was it?
So I showed the top 198s in the collection. I finished that. That's over. And so a lot of people are like, dude, I loved it so much. Like, you got to keep going. Like, do you have any more books? And so I'm going to go through my Silver Age books. The Silver Age of comics is from 1960 through 1974. So I'm going to go and show some of my Silver Age books, and then I'll go off of some other like grades, all my 9.0s or all my 7.5s or whatever. And I'll do that, keep sharing some of my collection that way. My show Comic Gories is probably my favorite thing I do on YouTube. Have you seen an episode of Comic Gories?
I would probably have to like see a thumbnail, but I don't know.
It's all good, man. So I made a game show having to do with comic books. And my real good friend John from John's Comics with Kids, he's my referee. And what I do is I invite 4 comic book collectors onto the show. Right. And each of them go head to head. And so what happens is we come up with comic gories or comic categories. And we'll say something like red cover, gun cover, sidekick cover, first appearance cover, right? And I'll before the show starts, I'll have 10 different comic gories, and they don't know about them. So they come on the show, and then we randomize them live, and whichever one pops up, they've got 30 seconds to run into their comic collection, find a book that fits that comic gory, and then run back and have it in their hand. And then they each show it, and then the chat is watching. They vote on who had the better comic that covers that comic gory. And so we made that show about 1.5 years ago, and I consistently get about 90 people to 120 people watching it live when the show goes on. And usually within the day, about 300 to 400 views, which is pretty good for my channel. And so, I mean, it's just a huge show. People love it. Everyone's in the chat talking and having a blast. Everybody shows up, and we laugh our heads off, man, because, people are bringing, like, you got 30 seconds to find a book. If you can't find it, you got to sell it, And we've seen people that could sell ice to an Eskimo, man. I mean, they are so good at it. And we've seen other people that are horrible, but have amazing collections, and you just get this eclectic mix of things, and the show is just so much fun, man. And we have like specials for the show that aren't like normal episodes. And do you know who Comic Tom is?
No.
Have you heard of Comic Tom? So there's a couple real big comic book YouTubers, like my friend Jim Mint, who has 90,000 subscribers. Comic Tom, he has, I think, like 40 now. Bueller has like 15,000. And my other friend Robbie, Rockin' Robbie, He has, I think, like 7,000 subscribers. And I had those guys all come on and compete. And, because they have big, huge channels, they've got real big personalities. And it was fun to watch them go head to head and all the smack talk, So it's a real blast, man. I mean, I think my favorite episode we've done so far is we called it Couple Gories. And we had comic book couples, husband and wife, or boyfriends and girlfriends, come on to the show, and they would compete together. But what we would do is we'd have a comic gory, and then the 4 couples would run into their collections, and both of them had to pick a book. They'd bring it back, and then we'd give them 10 seconds to decide which one they were going with. And so you see these couples like argue, no, mine's better. No, mine's better, And they'd go. And then when they'd pick, I'd be like, okay, I'm throwing a wrench in it. Put that one down. You have to go with the other one now. And we just do all kinds of crazy stuff like that, And so that show is such a blast. It's really my favorite thing that I do because of the interaction I get to have with the community.
Yeah.
And, man, it's a good time. It's a really good time.
No, I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds very fun, and I'm gonna love to see that. That sounds very cool. I'll definitely have to check that out. So kind of finals talks right now. We talked about any upcoming projects. We talked about obviously how you first started, kind of the in-betweens. We said the advice to the fellow creators. Now kind of I still want to stick back to the creators. Is there anything like you want to plug or give to the people that are watching, or creators, anybody that you want to like talk to or something like that?
You know what, man? I would tell people a couple things that I have my hand in. One of the biggest things that I love is the community. And so, like I said, Comic Gories is just a big community event. People come out. So our next one should be this coming Monday. And we usually go live at 6 o'clock Pacific. So if you haven't watched it, if anybody watching this hasn't watched it, come check it out. Come vote. It's a lot of fun. If you find yourself like, you know what, I want to be on that show, come be on the show. We're always getting new people on the show. And the cool thing is that I had a really good friend donate a ton of comics, a ton of pops, a ton of Dorbs. And so every show that we do, we have people playing along at home, and we do the at-home Comic Gories version, and they run into their own collections. They find their own stuff, and then we have them compete, and whoever wins that home version gets one of the comics or the pops or whatever sent to them for free. So it's a lot of fun, man. So come check that out on Monday. Something else that I do, and I it's probably one of the biggest parts of my life, is I'm a Christian, man. I love Jesus. I love religion. I love talking about that. I studied that stuff in college too. And we started a project called Men Seeking Wisdom, where we kind of go through the Bible and break it down and talk about it. So if that's your type of thing, go check it out, Men Seeking Wisdom. We just did an episode right before I came on with you. We recorded our episode, and they're going to pop that up probably tomorrow or Sunday. So that'll be there. So the world's crazy right now. People are depressed. Things are scary. If you're finding yourself like, maybe I need God in my life a little more, come check it out. And if it's not your thing, no worries. I'll talk to you about comics all day long. And I think that's it, man. I mean, I just stay tuned to the channel. Things will come when they come. But if check me out on Instagram. I sell a lot of stuff there if people want comics. And my favorite thing is meeting new people. So you want a new friend, hit me up.
Definitely. Definitely everybody check him out. I don't know how many, I never know how many views he's going to get. I'm kind of like on the low right now.
It's all good, man.
But I'm still trying to push through it. So for people who do check this out, go check him out later. I'm definitely going to have to check out that Comic Gories, because that sounds very fun. So I'll definitely check that out. You said Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll probably be there, because that's my day off. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Other than that, though, thank you, man, for having me. Thank you for hopping on.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wanted to get more creators on here, and even if I didn't know them, like I want to start getting people. One kind of final question is there anybody in particular you would kind of want to see on here, or you would suggest?
Oh man, yeah. Shoot, I got tons of friends that I could suggest. Let's see. Who would be great, fun for this? Okay, I'll tell you a couple of people that would be pretty cool. There's a YouTuber called Life with Two YouTubers.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. So she's a mom, and she has two kids that are YouTubers. And her daughter just published a book, and it's been selling. So she's a newly published author. And then her younger son, he's about to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So they'd be somebody fun to check out because you have three different people that you could interview.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun, good people. And then my friend John's Comics with Kids, he would be phenomenal. John's a teacher. He's very, very cerebral, such a smart guy, and so much fun. So I think those are two people that we can start with, man, that they have big followings. They can come out and help your channel and your views get up. And they could also, you also have a good time and learn a lot from them and your viewers too, man. So those would be two people that I recommend.
All right, dope. I'll definitely probably should have written it down. If you can like possibly send me their links and like their Instagrams, I would appreciate that.
Sure,
this was fun though. I mean I have a blast every time I've done. I know it's only 3 episodes, but like the past 2 people that I interviewed and now you, like I had a blast. Hopefully you did too. And hopefully the people, no problem. Hopefully the people that possibly watch this later, they have a blast watching this too. You know, we talked a lot of stuff, so kind of everywhere. But I had fun.
Me too, man. Me too.
I have the link on here, so it's gonna stay there no matter what the whole time. I didn't like move anything, so that's the link to check him out, and I will have a link down in the description below. There we go. I'll be changing the thumbnail later on once I like publish it, but thank you, man, for coming on. It was a blast, and I'll definitely check out on Monday.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. All right, and you said you're going to be on a live stream later tonight?
Yeah, I think at 9 Eastern.
9 Eastern?
Cannon. That's the name of the show.
Okay.
So I'll be on that, hanging out there too.
All right, I'll probably try and hop on there because I'm completely free today.
Nice, man. Awesome.
All right. I will have a good day, man. It was very fun having you on. And to all the viewers out there, peace.